Hi viewers, welcome back to SaharaTV. My name is Adeola Fayehun, and we've been talking about the recent suspension of the CBN Governor, Mr. Lamido Sanusi. And right now we like to look at the whole drama from a legal perspective. And to help us look at this today is Ms. Ayo Obe, who is a legal practitioner and partner at the Lagos-based law firm Ogunshola Shonibare. She was also president of the Civil Liberty Organization, Nigeria's oldest indigenous human rights organization from 1995 to 2003. And right now, she's also the co-vice chair of the Brussels-based International Crisis Group. Ms. Ayo Obe, welcome to SaharaTV.
Hello.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, so can we start by talking about the issue of suspension? What exactly does it mean to suspend the CBN governor? How is that different from firing him?
Well, it means that he remains the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, but that for practical purposes, he's prevented from carrying out his duties as the governor of the central bank. And that's why the president also named somebody to be acting central bank governor.
I see. So can the president nominate a replacement when he's still technically the central bank governor, even though he's on suspension?
No, what the president has done is to nominate somebody to act. I think one has to start from the question of whether the suspension itself is lawful. The issue of naming a replacement is something that has to be in the pipeline anyway, because the term of the present governor, Lamido Sanusi, expires in June. So it was always under expectation that the president would name somebody who would take over in June. But what one had anticipated was that the successor would be named sometime in February, March, as has been done, and that then there would be a period of orderly transition and handover so that everything would go smoothly. But instead, we now have a situation where between the point at which Sanusi's term ends in June and the new person comes on board, there has to be somebody who performs those functions, because the effect of the suspension, whether it's legal or not, is that if the governor were to present himself at his office at the central bank, he'll probably find that the doors would be barred to him and he would not be able to go in and perform the functions that go along with that act.
But in a democratic country, does the president have the power to suspend the CBN governor?
It's a matter of a democratic country. It's a matter of the law under which the central bank operates. It's a matter of the law under which the central bank operates. The law under which the central bank operates says that the central bank governor can only be removed on a vote by the Senate of 12 2/3.
Okay, so you're trying to tell us whether the president has the power to suspend him or not.
No. What the Act talks about is removal. Now, if the Act talks about removal, and the president knows that in order to remove the governor, he needs a vote in the Senate of a majority of 2/3 of the members of the Senate, then to go round and suspend, in a way, is like circumventing the issue of the requirement of the Act, which is that he should have a 2/3 majority. He may feel that for political reasons he may not get the 2/3 majority, but what he ought to have done would be to present his case to the Senate and say, I want to remove the governor of the central bank for this, and this reason. And then the suspension would go ahead, and the Senate would then consider the matter and take a vote.
Okay, so now the CBN governor is insisting on going to court with this issue. Do you think he has a chance? And what should we expect?
I'm not going to speculate on whether he has a chance, because that would in a way be a little bit sub judice. But certainly he has a right to go to court. He must go to court. Because the point that he's making is that if the power of suspension can be used to circumvent the effect of the requirements of the Act, then no central bank governor will be safe. Because we have to remember that the issue of suspension is purportedly so that the charges or the allegations against him, not many of which are new, by the way, that the allegations against him can be investigated. Now, who controls the investigation? How long does the investigation take? That's why many people believe that if the Act does not give the power to suspend, then you cannot exercise it. Because if the Act were to give the power to suspend, it would also stipulate how it could be exercised, for how long such a suspension could operate, and other factors like this. But the president could say he's investigating the matters for a year or 2 years. Who knows?
And what does this say, though?
For longer than the period that that would pass the point at which Sanusi's term expires.
But what does this say, though, about the independence of the central bank?
Well, that's the point why the governor of the central bank said he's going to take the matter to court. Because if it's not challenged, then the independence is a little bit compromised. At the same time, there is discussion about the extent to which the central bank's independence means that the central bank can do as it likes, whether the central bank should have its accounts open to scrutiny, and so on and so forth. But these are all matters which have been going on, and the president had said nothing. And unfortunately, although one is talking about this from the legal point of view, we all have to recognize that what is going on here is politics, alpha and omega.
And speaking of politics, I'm wondering if you think that this suspension would hinder, or if it would hinder the investigation into the diversion of funds, you know, by the NNPC or not.
Well, no doubt that is what most people consider to be the intention of the suspension, that you stop playing the ball and you start playing the man, so to speak. So for most Nigerians, the issue is that 20 billion United States dollars of Nigerian income is missing in transit, or more or less. We don't know. Even the coordinating minister for the economy says that the matter should be subjected to an independent audit. So that there is a question about the accounts of the NNPC is certainly not open to question. At least the central bank has some accounts that can be scrutinized. NNPC, well, it's all up in the air.
And speaking of NNPC, you led into my next question, which is, are you in support of external auditors investigating the NNPC, and who should hire these auditors?
Well, this is the point. Certainly, when the coordinating minister for the economy agrees that there should be an independent audit, I don't think it lies in my mouth to say that there should not be such an audit. But we also take account of the remarks made by the former vice president of the World Bank and a former minister in the Obasanjo administration, Dr. Obe. And she advised that we should follow the same system as was followed in Iraq, which is to appoint international independent auditors rather than those whose report. Because we Nigerians have learned to, when somebody tells us good morning, we check look outside to see whether it's night or day. So if the government says they have appointed auditors, we will all say which auditors, who are they, and you know, how can they be compromised? It's just the same thing with this report into the central bank. We're all looking to say, are these things true, or are they just cooked up to give ex post facto justification for the act of trying to shut the central bank governor up when he raises alarm about the missing funds in the country? So definitely it would be better if there could be some transparency about the appointment, and because we tend to trust the international voice more than we trust the local voice. It's sad, but it's a fact. And in these matters, it is the perception that would be as important as the reality. Then there should be some independent arm in that investigation.
And speaking of international media, I just want to read a quote from the New York Times. They said that Sanusi may have taken on too big an opponent in the national oil company. The company acts as the country's oil buyer, seller, explorer, producer, processor, and regulator. Now, is the NNPC too big to be held accountable?
Well, it's unfortunate because if you may remember that a former minister, again in the Obasanjo administration, a member of the Dream Team, said that they used to joke about the NNPC, that it was a government unto itself. And so this is not a new issue. It's unfortunate, however, that, well, I suppose that he was speaking with his tongue in his cheek when he said it was treated as a joke, because most Nigerians do not find it funny.
Mm. Well, also there are several allegations of financial recklessness and misconduct leveled against the CBN governor himself, and I'm just, wondering who should investigate that, and why are we hearing about all of this now?
This is why the issue of this is why the suspension issue has to be circumscribed by statutes. If it's not conferred or it's not given by the agreement that appointed him or the law that under which he was appointed, then it becomes too open-ended. We all know what the EFCC became during the Obasanjo administration, when it became a political witch-hunting tool. And in this case, all it needs to do is to drag the matter out. We've had the report of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, on which this suspension is based, but it's not a new allegation. And I dare say that the CBN governor has responded to those allegations. But to me, the president ought to have followed the correct path of having had the allegations made, sending them to the Senate, along with his own request that the governor be removed. Then the Senate could even exercise its power to say that pending the investigation or the finalization of this, we will suspend the central bank governor and invite him to come and make his defense to the allegations levied against him. But and so it would be the Senate that would investigate, and the Senate would then determine the circumstances or the procedure by which it would do so. But to have jumped the gun by suspending, well, as I said, we all know that it is a political matter. It is also a divert attention from the message about the corruption in the NNPC and onto the alleged corruption in the messenger who is blowing the whistle. It is not news, as Ribadu, the former head of the EFCC, said. When you fight corruption, it fights back.
I see. Thank you so much, Ms. Obe, for joining us today on Sahara TV. We appreciate your time.
Sure.
All right, viewers, that has been Ms. Ayo Obe talking to us about the legal perspective of the drama behind the suspension of the CBN governor. Don't forget, try to follow us on live stream. Try to subscribe to us on live stream, I should say, Sahara TV, and you'll be able to watch many other interviews that we're doing on this show. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.